Hey everyone, this is Raptor Chatter, and I'm unfortunately injured. I damaged my hip in an accident snowboarding, so standing isn't exactly something I'm going to be great at right now. With that said, I'm going to be reviewing the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer because I'm a paleontologist who has some social media stuff, so I probably should just to give people at least my perspectives. Um, at least for some degree, right? Like, I'm not going to be perfect because I didn't comment on the movie. I wasn't like an advisor on the movie, but I can hopefully help provide some context for some of the decisions that they have made. With that said, let's get going. So the first bit of this, they're just, kind of going with the setup. Hey, here's our mission specialist. We're going to go out here and do this. The important part that I want to pause it at is going to be in this scene where they're going through the long grass, which classic Jurassic Park trope from the second movie, but also large sauropods. From what we know of this movie, all of these dinosaurs are supposed to be the meaner ones, right? They're too mean for the main park, which to me suggests that instead what is happening is these are still going to be mean and they're going to dive into the grass, the actors will, and they're going to have the tail come whipping through and cut the grass just above their heads, and it's going to look really dramatic and scary. And that's something that I think will be very interesting and very good to show on screen. I think it's going to, give it a lot of character and a lot of weight to the fact that, yeah, these are herbivorous dinosaurs, but they still weigh many tons and could very easily take out a person, which I think is something they kind of need to do to reestablish in this new series. And I'll comment on that at the end a little bit. And then here they're just, again, setting stuff up. So I'm going to skip ahead until we start to see the dinosaurs again. Okay, and so they're talking about how this is the research facility for the original Jurassic Park. We already had that. That is Site B. So they're just kind of throwing it into another one and also putting it on the other side because they said this is closer to Barbados. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I suppose there could be reasons for it, but I don't necessarily think that they're good reasons. Now, as for the pterosaur part, yeah, you're looking at this and it's hypothetically supposed to be something like Quetzalcoatlus. I really think they could have gotten away with just calling it Hatzegopteryx because you're looking at it and it looks more stocky than what you saw in the previous movie. So really, I'm thinking that this would be more like Hatzegopteryx. I think it would be perfectly reasonable to change the name just to help distinguish them because I think, especially when you're looking at the Spinosaurus, which will come up later, it would be good to just have a different name for it for the sake of keeping everything consistent within the universe. Which I know, like, it's meant that these ones are the genetic mistakes that are causing issues. It still would be really helpful to just be able to show there's this different kind of interaction between them, right? Where it's, yeah, sure, we have multiple species. Some of them just didn't work right, as opposed to all of them didn't work right, and so we're going to have some funky ones that we already know of in there. They also talk about trying to get the DNA sample from an egg as opposed to the giant pterosaur, and that does make sense. I will give the writers that credit, and I do like that, because this does seem overall, as again, they're more dangerous than the ones in the park. They're really selling this idea that this is going to be a more consistent movie as far as the tone, which I like. There was the Vanity Fair article that came out just a little while ago that also discussed that, where the director and a lot of people on the staff were saying, like, yeah, we're trying to make it more scary, and as long as they're going with something consistent, I can like that. Whereas a lot of the previous Jurassic World trilogy seemed a little bit all over the place as far as what kind of tone they wanted to approach. I think this may be more consistent, and I'm really excited for that. And then, of course, you have your raptors. Of course they do. They only show one set of legs there, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. And then you have your new giant big bad, which, well, let's go back just that little bit. There he is. There we go. So big head, kind of short face, and we saw these large arms here. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to see, but there are some other images, and I will throw one up here. So what you're seeing here is that it is this kind of like, long-armed, short back-legged animal, and it honestly kind of strikes me as the Cloverfield monster, or potentially, and this is going to be kind of a deep cut for some people because it's a very forgotten about movie, in the movie Cowboys and Aliens, the aliens in that movie are fairly similar in having these long arms. They also have an inner set of arms, which some of the concept art for this movie supposedly shows, which is a slight concern. I get that it's a genetic mess up. I can at least live with this better than I did with the movie 66, where it's like, oh yeah, this is still a dinosaur, unlike anything we've ever found. Whereas this is like, yeah, no, we just messed up the genetics a whole bunch. That I can at least kind of give a pass. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this is. It does have a really distinct silhouette, and like even just from this one scene, you can kind of see where the silhouette's up here and down the side, and it stands out differently than any other dinosaur. So for having it be a unique creature in this series, as from a design standpoint, I do really enjoy it. I'm just concerned about how they're going to explain it. Well, and then you get the Dilophosaurus, classic. I'm mostly bringing this up because I'm from Arizona. I love this thing. Let me see if it shows it at all. Nah, it comes up too fast. I was going to say I couldn't quite tell if... Whoop, one more. Oh, okay. I thought this part of the frill might have been this frill, so, you know, kind of cocking its head like it does with Dennis Nedry, Wayne Knight in the first movie, but seemingly that's not the case. It'll be interesting to see why this is here, because seemingly it's just a Dilophosaurus. If these are meant to be all of the super deadly dangerous ones, they had these in the park. Why is this one different? If it's just the same thing, it's gonna be a little disappointing. However, you know, we'll see how that goes. Okay. Oh, here we go again with the big one again. Large arms on the side. This guy's definitely getting eaten. I'm sure this will be a flashback or something. But again, big hulking mass, relatively short head. Like I said, it is the Cloverfield monster, essentially, just not the size to take down a city. The size to take down a house instead, right? Still intimidating animal, creature, thing. We're going to go back another moment. There we go. Here's the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's really low to the ground. I do like this design, the stripes on it. It looks like maybe they're actually giving it lips, which would be a nice modern update, like a very simple modern update. It's low to the ground, and I think that's interesting because they're talking about trying to do one of the scenes from the books where essentially they're trying to float down the river and they end up being near a Tyrannosaurus Rex that's sleeping, and then the T-Rex is starting to wake up. So potentially this is not even it roaring. This could just be it yawning as it's waking up, and they try and get themselves on the boat. And again, they were on a boat. Now they're trying to avoid getting eaten while they're in the water. Potentially. Let's be fair here. Okay. And now this one, and I'm going to snap back. So you have 3 Spinosaurs and a Mosasaurus here. I have a lot of comments on the Spinosaurians. However, 3 of them seemingly all pack hunting or vaguely gregariously hunting, which does seem a bit silly. So I paused it here because I want to point out it does have a really distinctive tail fluke, which isn't quite something that you had to the same degree in the Jurassic World Mosasaurus, but also you don't have all the osteoderms and spines coming off the back that you get in the Jurassic World Mosasaurus. And that's really important because we actually do have a good sense of what its skin would have looked like. And so this is from Amelia Zelo, who's one of the greatest experts on mosasaurs in the world, if not, I mean, I might say that she's not because I might say she is the best expert on them, as opposed to just one of. But this is an impression of mosasaur skin. So essentially the skin got pressed into the mud, and as the skin rotted away, the mud held that shape. So you can see it's pretty triangular scales. They would have had a keel in them, meaning they would have had just a little arch in the top of them to probably help smooth line and streamline the water going across the body. But it's very much lizard-like scales as opposed to being big and knobby the way that we saw in the Jurassic World series. Okay, the Spinosaurus. And here's comments. First, leaping out of the water, the whole water hypothesis. It's a little exhausting because it's the same thing over and over again about it's probably not actually swimming that much. And they do make changes to it to make it more likely that this one could be a good swimmer. And I will point that out here in a moment. However, again, you still get a slightly wider skull than you might expect. Again, Spinosaurians had pretty narrow jaws, and while these are more narrow than what you would expect in Tyrannosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex is distinctly unique in having a very wide set of jaws. So I don't necessarily like that. It feels like it's just kind of the Tyrannosaurification of everything. Additionally, oh, there it is. Perfect time to pause it. It looks like they made this its ear. This is not its ear. And I'll pull up a figure in a moment that actually has like the skeletal so I can show you what this is. But also Big ridge here, it's kind of shrink wrapped. Big muscular arms, I do like, but this neck is stout. And that's something that's actually talked about in a paper by Hone and Holtz in 2001, where they have the two competing hypotheses for how Spinosaurus would have lived. There's the wading hypothesis up top and then the swimming hypothesis down on the bottom, and they're looking at a ton of different traits across the entire body. Traits that are in gray don't really give an advantage to that hypothesis or a disadvantage to that hypothesis. Traits that are in white do give an advantage to that hypothesis, and traits that are in black give a disadvantage to that hypothesis. And as you can see, first of all, the swimming hypothesis has a whole lot of traits that aren't great for it. So that is an issue, right? If you're trying to consider that, oh yeah, these animals are swimming, there's a lot of traits that go, no, they're not. Meanwhile, the wading hypothesis is more likely. The important part though right now is, let me zoom in. Here we go. We can look up here. So here you have the nostril, the interorbital fenestra, which is that opening in front of the eye, and then you have the temporal fenestra right here, one of them. And so this would be a site for muscles to attach down here to the bottom part of the jaw. What we see in this Spinosaurus is they turned it into the ear, which makes no sense to just take one of the most distinctive features of archosaurs as a whole and reptiles as a whole, of having that secondary fenestra, including additional ones up here on top of the head, and turn it into an ear. That's not the way the anatomy of the animal works. The skin texture looks fine. Like, I'm not opposed to this at all, but this I am opposed to. Like, that is genuinely awful. I get that, well, we don't have the holotype, right? But it would be really, really nice if they at least tried to keep things consistent instead of seemingly making just totally random changes. I know the Sonic fans got them to change Sonic back in the day. I would really love it if they did that with this design, because the neck is so short, and that is really an issue when you're trying to communicate this animal, because it does have a very long neck. And in fact, a lot of dinosaurs have very long necks. If you're thinking about the first theropod meat-eating dinosaurs, Coelophysis had a long neck. Dilophosaurus had a pretty long neck. Even Allosaurus had a pretty long neck. It's just kind of something that exists in a lot of the dinosaurs, and they're just not even mentioning it at all in this thing. It's like you just took out like the middle half of this and then just stapled it straight back on. And to be fair, that would stabilize the body a lot for swimming through the water. When you look at things like tuna, which are known for swimming through water, they do have really short necks because it helps to stabilize the rest of the body. Spinosaurus wasn't swimming through the water as best we can tell. All right, then the Mosasaurus here, it's paused, so it's a little blurry because it's in motion, but the skin does look so much better, right? Like, at least the most of the skin impressions we do have are from the top half, and I could very easily see this being similar. The bottom half may be a little too smooth, but also we don't know, and it very well could just be very fine scales, so it's hard to tell from just this one screenshot. Potentially even they just need to re-render this one more time and get a little more detail in there, which would be a later post-production kind of thing, as opposed to trying to run all of the perfect renders of everything right now at this moment. So really excited about this Mosasaurus. It looks so much better. It might not be technically Mosasaurus, it could be Tylosaurus or one of the other ones. People could ask Amelia Zelo for her opinion, because again, she's kind of the expert on these things. And then we get the logo, and it looks good, right? Like, we've seen this before, but it does look nice. I do appreciate this. So, my thoughts overall on the trailer. Some of the dinosaurs look perfectly fine, at least within the world of Jurassic Park, right? Like, they're not going to necessarily be perfectly 100% scientific models. We didn't really see anything that looked feathered, which is a little annoying. But, you know, you win some, you lose others. That said, when you're looking at this and the movie as a whole, again, it seems like it's going to be more consistent in tone. It seems like it has an actual plan, as opposed to things like Fallen Kingdom, where in Fallen Kingdom, you know, you had the one half of the movie that was on the island and the other half of the movie that was in the manor, and it felt like two separate movies trying to fight to be one. Dominion, again, felt like there were multiple movies in there. One where it's just living with the dinosaurs in the world, one where it's, you know, the seedy underbelly, and then the third one where it's, you know, Biosyn doing all of their evil locust breeding. To control the world's food supply. With that said, I do think that I am tentatively optimistic, which doesn't say a lot. But, I mean, I just want to leave that there, right? Like, we potentially have some really good results as far as, just what the movie is going to be and the quality it's going to be. I am expecting it to be, hopefully, slightly better than the first Jurassic World, which, not a great movie, right? It's not, asking the same, it's not pontificating the same way that Ian Malcolm does in the first Jurassic Park, but it's a good, fun movie that if it's on a weekend, I can just watch it and enjoy it. We'll see how it turns out. I'm excited. Some of the designs I'm really excited about. Some of them I am more conflicted about, and we will see the rest of them. They're hiding the raptor, the rest of the body of the raptor, and I feel like there might be a reason for that, and I don't know what it is. So we'll see about that when it comes out. That said, hopefully this kind of content's fine for people, because I haven't really done reviews of the trailers. But, be safe, take care. Store should be up soon. We're actually getting all of our legalese stuff done, so that should be good. And see you later. Bye. Don't go extinct.